Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Chapter 19, King Prithu's 100 sacrifices. Text 1. Maitreya uvacha atha dikshata raja tu hayamedha shatena sa brahma vartena manokshetre yatra prachi saraswati. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, King Prithu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifices at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavarta and it was controlled by Swayambhuva Manu. Text 2. Tad abhipretya bhagavan karma tishayam atmanaha shatakratu na mamrushe pritor yajna mahotsavam. When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu. Okay, somebody can read the purport.
In the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over material nature is envious of others. This envy is also found in the personality, the king of the heaven, Indra, as evident from revealed scriptures. Indra was several times envious of many persons. He was especially envious of great fruitive activities and the execution of yoga practices or siddhis. Indeed, he could not tolerate them and he desired to break them up. He was envious due to fear that those who performed great sacrifices for the execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in this material world is called Matsara, envious. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is therefore said that Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those who are completely nirmatsara, non-envious. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material. The demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy.
Okay, so here, when Prithu Maharaj was performing these Ashwamedha Yajnas, so then Indra became envious. Why? Because Indra had special title. What is that? Shatakratu, the performer of 100 sacrifices. And so therefore now he became insecure that Prithu Maharaj will occupy his post. Okay. And Srila Prabhupada is talking about envy, how in the material world everyone is envious. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world, Prabhupada is writing, everyone in the material world is called Matsara, envious, including animals. What is Prabhupada writing? Everyone. Okay. Okay, fine. So, Okay, please note down some questions. What are some of the causes of envy? Especially among the residents of the Brahmachari ashram. Second, what will be or what are the consequences of such envy? And third is, what are the solutions? To prevent envy and create Vaikuntha atmosphere. Okay, so two devotees can pair up and discuss.
Consequences, solutions.
So you can join some group. Hi. अरे वहाँ चार यहाँ दो कुछ तो. अरे एक जन यहाँ जाओ ना. हाँ क्या? नहीं नहीं ठीक है, पहले कम थे इसलिए मैंने दो दो बोला, अभी तीन तीन का करो. प्रभु आपको आना है तो आ गया. नहीं नहीं, आई एम टेलिंग दैट डिवोटी बिहाइंड. Okay, try to finish in a minute or so. Okay, do you require more time? 1 minute. Okay. Okay, let's begin. Hare Krishna. Okay, any volunteers to write?
Would you close the AC? Go time. First, let's put first this causes.
You can make three columns: causes, consequences, solution. अरे वहाँ बहुत जगह है, थोड़ा मुश्किल.
1 point.
Cause sequence. No, one causes. First causes.
Only causes. Causes of envy.
One.
Post position bhakti.
Desire for.
Desire for post position. Yes.
Okay.
Hankering.
Post position.
Desire for post and position. Okay, wait. Let's analyze this a little bit more. So, post position. So, what is the problem with this? So, if see, post position can be used in Krishna service. What's the problem? Samsya क्या है?
पोस्ट पोजीशन जब आती है तो फिर फैसिलिटीज आती है कुछ कंट्रोल में, तो एवरीबडी वांट्स टू हैव दैट फैसिलिटी बिकॉज ऑफ सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन, डिजायर फॉर सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन.
So that means attachment to the facilities which come from the post and position. तो वो असली कारण है ना. So within the same point you can write. Within the same point. Attachment to facilities. ठीक है, आगे next.
This preaching skills, talents, individual have. So if I don't possess that quality, then I become envious. So because he is getting name and fame.
Okay. So name and fame from talents and skills. So somebody else is getting name and fame, so then one becomes envious. Okay, next.
मोस्टली समर
ग्रुप में बैठो ना, ग्रुप में बैठो.
मोस्टली रिपीटेशन है प्रोजी, लेकिन इसमें एक स्पेसिफिक डिटेल्स है. व्हेन फोकस इज on results, when focus becomes on results, example like on followers or post or money, or when this become focus, that causes envy. Another cause is when someone receives gifts by congregation or uneven facilities, that also causes.
Okay, so your first point is focus.
Focus.
So okay, you're saying the focus is on the wrong things. So that means where the focus is not on.
On seva. On the rendering service for the pleasure of Krishna, rather than that.
Okay, so that's a good point. So not focused on pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Okay, next.
material outlook,
towards.
Vaishnavas, and
Okay, so what happens if one has material outlook?
he doesn't see the spiritual activity, rather than he sees the material things in terms of, like, he is well spoken, or he has post and positions in
Okay,
his
fine,
life.
good point, very good point. Material outlook towards Vaishnavas. Okay, next. If you have more causes, you can tell. If you don't have, you pass on to the next group. You want to?
No spiritual intake like morning program, sadhana, chanting.
Okay, a weak spiritual sadhana. No, no,
Competitive mentality on the mundane platform.
okay, good point. Material, okay. On the mundane platform. Okay, good. Next. अरे इनको दो ना.
Material, having a offensive attitude towards devotees, trying to.
वही हो गया ना. Material outlook, offensive attitude, same thing. Okay, no other point? Okay, fine. Here, you have some other point? Causes? तो वो सब वही है ना.
Post question results. Yes.
Lack of gratitude
Lack of gratitude too.
towards Vaishnavas, like offensive behavior or outspoken.
One does not have gratitude, then what happens?
It creates ill respect, or wrong communication amongst the peers.
Okay, I think that's a good point. Okay, that's good. So if one does not have gratitude, one cannot have the right attitude, and yes, that's a good point. Okay, causes done, fine. You have any other causes? No, okay, fine. Next, consequences. 1 point.
Everybody respected cause as a consequence, or?
No.
Mission of life, that is advancement in bhakti, get hampered.
Okay, advancement in bhakti hampered. Next.
In same sense, missionary spirit also get hampered.
Why?
Because now we are thinking in an individual way, because we are getting envy. So I am thinking of my own, that I want to do something. So therefore the whole mission is get hampered.
Okay, so the preaching mission is stunted. Good.
Some specific aspect. Just one extra thing, Prabhuji, that stunted due to non-cooperation also. It can lead to non-cooperation.
Okay, good point.
Non-cooperation.
No, another point you can put. Yes. So envy, non-cooperation. So you can go ahead. What does non-cooperation lead to?
Because of this envious feeling, if both could have cooperated and then.
So there is no cooperation. So then what does non-cooperation lead to?
So it lead to becoming less efficient, or in terms of mission, or in terms of personal spiritual growth. It
Okay.
basically stunts.
Relationship.
Huh?
Bad relationships.
Okay, bad relationships. More specifically, when there's no cooperation.
Separatist mentality.
So what does that lead to?
Individual groupism.
So unity. So unity of the movement. So non-cooperation, same point, non-cooperation. So you can write that yes, groupism and disruption in unity.
Disunity.
Disruption in unity. Next.
Fault finding, trying to bring the other devotee down, minimize his value.
Yes, one of the very prominent consequences. Fault finding and blasphemy.
Apradhas.
Consequences, Vaishnava Prad will happen.
Okay.
That was your goal.
Okay, right?
We're about to say, you also don't know. And there will be fights, Prabhuji. Whenever non-cooperation mein aayega, fights, disputes will be happening.
Within non-cooperation, yes.
Then our relation to non-devotee association get increased. Consequence of this.
Asasanga increases.
Yeah. Because now I am not getting juice in ashram, so I will find juice in something else that is non-devotees.
Okay. So tendency for asatsang. Next.
He will lose the taste in sadhana.
Okay, lose taste in spiritual practices. When one loses something, one owes less.
We lose quality Vaishnavas who want to contribute individually towards the movement.
Actually, you mean to say that the devotees leave the movement?
Yeah, that is also one aspect.
Okay, possible. Okay, devotees leave the movements.
Compete for resources.
Okay, so what's the result? That's envy. Competition is envy. So what is the result?
Fights and
That's उनको बोलने दो।
So the result of this non-cooperation is individual groupism, and that we find the impersonalism increases at the end, because there is no.
Okay, bad Vaishnava relations basically, isn't it?
No, please.
Okay, bad Vaishnava relations. Well, we are not so much after peace.
Ananda. No happiness.
Next.
It sets a bad example for younger generation, and they will lose faith.
Okay, good point. Bad example, lose faith.
Self-glorification will be the main criteria. In order to look down others, he himself start glorifying himself.
Good point. Yes. So one criticizes others and glorifies oneself. Okay. Self-glorification, self-aggrandizement, self-propagation. Focuses on self. आपको कुछ है?
हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ. Organization defaming. Likewise now the Ritvik and ISKCON is fighting.
Fine.
mission is instructed. Mission get instructed.
So there's a second one.
In that only it comes.
Okay, anyway, put it. Okay, fine. So defaming to the organization and
Shilama.
yes, and the acharyas. So because if one is envious of somebody else, then one wants to pull down the other person. So he finds faults in others and then glorifies himself. So because he wants to raise his position, that's the result of that. Any other points?
In general, the entire public loses faith on the
that's-
spirituality and the movement.
10th one, lose faith. Remove one O. Okay, okay, done. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go to solutions.
We cannot dispute. Fight.
Solution, 1 point.
Post and position. So
No relation. You tell general solutions.
to remove envy. The services, the post and position can be distributed or changed frequently so that they cannot be attached. It means equally distribution of services.
No, how can there be equal distribution? Okay, so we take his point. Okay, fine. So rotation in services.
उनको देना हाँ गुह्यम आख्याति पृच्छति in between devotees, so that will reduce this impression.
Okay, good point. Guhyam. Or Path. So write 6 loving exchanges.
There can be some occasions where
उसी में लिखो 6 loving exchanges. हाँ ठीक है हाँ.
there can be some occasions where all the levels, all the types of devotees in ashram come together for some service or yatra or something like that. So that they're together, then this feelings can be like.
Okay, good point. So, okay, fine. Common devotional activities. Okay, all levels of right. What do you come together for service. Otherwise, they can say, come together and do prasad.
We devotees are inviting you also tomorrow.
Let me get finalized first.
Harish, recently Sadhu Sangha, Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj was mentioning this point that in society we give more emphasis to people who we glorify, or we give more importance to the persons who have post and position rather than having a relationship with people who doesn't have any such post.
So what's the solution?
We should also give respect to people who doesn't have post and position also. And he was giving during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu time, it's not a organization. The devotees, they come and they come to Puri and take association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then they go back. There is no particular emphasis to a particular person.
There was no organization. So there's no question of post.
Means he was telling we should value the people who doesn't have
That's a
post.
good point. So value, appreciate all devotees irrespective of posts and positions. Right. Value all devotees.
Common cause for services means goal, like Prabhupada pleasures.
Okay, so having common cause. Common cause.
And focus on the
Yes, focus on.
Uh-huh.
Strong morning program
Okay. What do you
in
mean
the
by
temple.
what do you mean by strong?
Among devotees, attending Mangalarti and all, chanting Bhagavatam class with devotees.
Okay, okay. I agree with your point of the morning program. I'm looking for more specific adjectives to that. Give me one specific.
Like full nourishment in terms of Shravanam, Kirtanam, strong examples from Bhagavatam which bring out this point that finally this positions, they don't have any meaning.
See, the point is about morning program, which is valid, but we are looking for some adjectives to that.
Sitting and chanting together, dancing in
Okay, okay, fine. Morning program in association. Okay, fine. That's
Intense
one
and in
thing.
association.
Morning program in association of devotees. But I'm looking for a little much bit more than that.
morning program for nourishing ourselves.
No, write that first. Morning program in association. Okay, that's correct. But I'm looking for a little more. What else is required? Okay, so we are there in the Mangalarti and all devotees are there.
Sit together, chant together, dance together.
Now you not understand the point. So I could be there in the Mangalarti with all devotees, right? I'm in the Mangalarti with association.
Participating.
Okay, you're getting close to the point. So that means what?
Absorb.
Yes. Attending the morning program in association with absorption, right? With absorption. Otherwise, sometimes we find somebody is there in the Mangalarti, is behind, he's chanting. Somebody is there in the Bhagavatam class and he's with his mobile. So that means what? They're there in association, but no absorption. So then what? Physically present? Mentally absent. So how much benefit is this? So that is a problem. So if you're not absorbed, then not much use. Not much use. So we have to be actually present. Next.
Educating about the consequences and having association like this, seminars and...
Okay, education and training. That's right? Okay, education and training. Next.
Recruitment of a proper candidate who is required for the service. Because many times you see if the person is not appropriately responsible for the service, it will create disharmony amongst the Vaishnavas.
How will it avoid envy?
Yeah, this way, because suppose if there's a right candidate, he'll be responsible for the entire ashram. It may be a temple commander post or it could be a president or anyone. There has to be a selection of a proper candidate.
So that's what I'm trying to understand. How will it avoid envy?
Yeah, he'll be allocating various services to people and proper morning programs and seminars, etc. This will create an individual harmony and collective harmony.
Fine, good point. Okay, good leadership. Okay, more precise. Okay, good servant leader.
Like taking prasadam together.
वो हो गया, together हो गया, वो third point.
Regularly going for Harinam Sankirtan, that also all the individual will get the opportunity to sing, then others will
हो
come.
गया ना together वाला.
ठीक है, फिर birthday celebration and the devotees will appreciate each other on various occasions.
Okay, so okay, Vaishnav glorification, appreciation. Next.
Seniors should set an example not to aggravate such kinds of feelings. personal covered.
Yeah?
It's already covered. Good servant leadership.
Okay, servant leadership covered. Okay, fine.
Hare Krishna. The main solution is to find higher taste in chanting and dancing.
Yes, the ultimate solution is chanting the holy name.
Doing menial services,
You have to define what is menial.
like especially like bathroom cleaning and many devotees they do.
How will that reduce envy?
We become humble and
Are you sure? So, okay, that humility thing is a whole different discussion, but not necessary. See, one could do an apparently menial service and become proud. Correct?
depends on the person.
Yes. So somebody could be thinking, just like sometimes in the world you find, sometimes a politician is doing some menial job. You find, no? Maybe some sweeping or digging or planting, doing, for what? Is he becoming humble?
And one more thing, Prabhuji, it doesn't matter who gets the success, but if I cooperate that person, then the mission also it becomes successful, and at the same time people also.
Okay, that's a good point. So, doesn't matter who gets the credit, correct? Doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as the service is done properly. So, okay, doesn't matter who gets the credit. Are there any other points?
महसेवा द्वारम और विमुक्त है आगे बोलो
तो हो गया ना सर्विंग ओके who's ma
great Vaishnava senior devotees
अच्छा so we should serve only senior
no others also are well qualified and we can serve equals also
and what about juniors
to juniors also on by showing the compassion.
So we serve everyone.
Serve everyone.
So,
but especially Mahat that nourishes our consciousness. We try to develop those qualities also.
Okay, fine. Okay, taken. Your point is taken.
Regular attending Bhagavatam class.
हो गया ना morning program हो गया ना?
Regularly and absorbing sadhana so that heart get purified.
हो गया ना morning program ना sadhana? Okay.
For purification.
Okay, you're saying something in addition. Okay, so you can write. Shravanam, Kirtan.
Mature dealings among devotees.
How?
Like by dealing maturely, we can avoid conflicts and all.
Now we're talking about envy. Okay, fine. That's enough points. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada writes, you can see in first canto, first chapter, second verse, purport, which Srila Prabhupada is referring to here also, isn't it? Parmo nirmatsaranam satam. So here also Prabhupada is referring to that. Yes, Bhagavatam is therefore said. Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those who are complete nirmatsara, non-envious. So in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that how, and here also is writing that, how everyone is envious of everyone else in this material world. So practically everyone, including animals. So of course, Srila Prabhupada used the story for another thing. But you know the story of the rabbit and the lion. You know the story of the rabbit and the lion? Ah, ah. You know that, right? So the animals had an agreement that one animal would go and become a prey to the lion, and so once the rabbit, his turn came, and then he purposefully went late. And then when he went to the lion late, lion was angry. Why did you come late? He said, hungry man is angry man. So the lion was hungry and therefore very angry. So what did the rabbit say? The rabbit said, see, sorry sir, it's not my problem. The problem was, on the way there was another lion, and he was going to eat me. But I told him, see, I'm supposed to be prey for another lion. So I'll inform him and come back. And so then this lion said, oh, there's another lion. Where is he? Okay, sir, please come, I'll show you. And then the rabbit took him to well. And lion, big lion, but still animal, less intelligent. So he saw in the well, he saw his own reflection in the water, and then the lion jumped inside the well. And of course, when Prabhupada tells the story, he says, the lion roared, "Ho!" and then he jumped. So, the point is that even among animals, there's envy, because that's the root cause of material existence. Ichcha, dvesh. So, it's deeply imprinted within our nature, envy. So therefore, even when we come to devotional service, it does not go away so easily. And so therefore, as Srila Prabhupada says, Prabhupada defines envy in one lecture. He says, whenever one sees somebody else is more prosperous, one becomes envious. So in any field, in any way, somebody is better than me, one tends to become envious. So this is very deep-rooted. But as we have seen, all these various consequences, so all these are the various consequences of envy. So if one is envious, who is the loser? Yes, own self is the loser. So therefore the example is given. Yes. जलता हुआ कोयला. तो क्या हो रहा है? खुद का हाथ ही जलता है. So therefore, one may think of doing harm to somebody else, but one lands up doing harm to oneself. My own progress is hampered. So the point is, it doesn't benefit anyone. Correct? Neither myself nor others. On the contrary, you find so many other consequences of envy. And so therefore it's a great disservice if we become envious and we act on the envy. Okay, if we are envious, it's there in our mind and we're somewhat tolerating it, then it's okay. But if we act on the envy and then we indulge in criticism, blasphemy, then we have examples in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, disastrous consequences. Some examples from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Gopal Chapal, he was envious of Srivas Thakur. You know, what he tried to do? Yes, Durga worship, defame Shivastaka. Result? Yes, he got leprosy and Mahaprabhu was so angry. He said, this is only the beginning of your suffering. You will have to go to hellish conditions. How will you tolerate that suffering? Then, some other examples? Ramchandra Khan envious of Haridas Thakur, his son prostitute. Then, Amogha envious of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was finding faults. He got cholera. He was going to die. But of course, Mahaprabhu saved him because, yes, relation to Sarvam Bhattacharya. Then, a famous example. Yes, Ramchandra Puri. So he was, yes, he was finding faults with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before that. But before that, all the Vaishnavas, he would feed them and then he would force them to eat more. So when they would say, no, enough, then he would say, hey, give up this dry renunciation. And then he would force them. When they would eat, he would say, I have seen these Vaishnavas. They are sense gratifiers. In this way, he was finding faults. And then same fault-finding tendency went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then finally spiritual master Madhavendra Puri. And then Madhavendra Puri said, get out! I don't want to see your face. I don't know what will be my destination of it. Die seeing your face. And the result was, what was the result? Yes. So he became an impersonalist. Such an exalted Vaishnava. Whose disciple? Madhavendra Puri, such an exalted Vaishnava, became an impersonalist. And then finally left the association of devotees. Such disastrous consequences. And what happened to Ramchandra Khan? The whole village got destroyed. Yeah, because then you offended Nityananda Prabhu. So, if one acts on the envy, the consequences could be disastrous. So, understanding this, what one should do? Give up the envy. There is nothing else. You can't engage it in Krishna's service. You have to give it up. Give up the envy. And of course, with the solutions, there's one additional point, and that is, so if somebody else has more than what I have, then what I should think? Yes, so one has to, it's Lord's plan. So somebody has more wealth, more talents, or whatever it is. So one has to understand that this is Lord's plan for whatever reason, maybe previous punya or whatever. But ultimately, if we understand Krishna is the controller, then it's Krishna who's granting those opulences. So if one sees Krishna's hand in everything, then one will be satisfied with what one has. Krishna has given him something more, Krishna has given me something more. So one has to be satisfied with what Krishna has given. Then one can avoid the envy. So, in this way, this is very important. Otherwise, even when the society of devotees, there could be so many disastrous consequences. And ultimately, the whole mission, the whole society will be affected, just like it happened to the Gaudiya Maths. Same problem. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur got disgusted. Why? Because even sannyasis were competing for facilities basically. They're competing. So therefore, it doesn't matter who. It could be anyone. It could be new devotees also. It could be sannyasis also. It could be anyone. Because that's how envy is so deep-rooted. So therefore, one has to be extremely careful and work on these anarthas. So as we saw in the solutions, so the first and foremost is strong purification. The purificatory program has to be there. So if I don't make attempts to purify myself by the chanting and hearing, if I don't make attempts, how will the purification take place? Will it happen automatically? No. I have to make attempts. I have to follow the process. It's not going to happen automatically. So if I don't take the medicine, how will the disease get cured? So I have to take the medicine seriously. So I have to take responsibility for that. So if I don't take responsibility for chanting the holy names attentively, for regularly hearing the Bhagavatam, and as we did mention, with absorption in the right consciousness, if I don't do this, then I'm creating problems for myself and others. And one thing which is very important is that if we don't pay attention, then things become a habit. So it's just like, so especially after one becomes a little senior, then one is not so much accountable. कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है. So I don't attend Bhagavatam class today. कोई पूछेगा? नहीं, कोई नहीं पूछेगा. So then what the mind will say? Tomorrow also mind will say, अरे कल क्या कुछ हुआ क्या? अरे कुछ हुआ नहीं, छोड़ो अभी. That's how things become a habit. And then months will pass, years will pass, and the purification will not take place, anarthas will remain. And then, even though many years may pass, one may apparently be senior, then when Krishna will give the test, then one will have to cut a sorry figure. So every individual devotee has to understand that I need to practice sincerely for whose benefit? My own benefit. One has to understand that. So it's not that if I do my service and sadhana properly, somebody else will benefit. That is secondary. The first benefit is to myself. So whatever it is, whether it is my chanting the holy name, whether it is my attending the Bhagavatam class, attending Mangalarti, doing my services nicely, whatever it is. So if I don't pay attention to it, I am the loser. One has to understand this simple fact. There's nothing complicated to understand. It's a very simple fact, but Maya is so powerful, Maya tricks everyone. And then one thinks, so this tendency comes. चलता है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है. So this is how Maya tricks. So just like Bharat Maharaj, he gave up all his spiritual practices, but he was justifying his attachment to the deer. So that is what Maya does. Why? Maya makes us justify our wrong activities. And then we continue with the same anarthas and everything. And then 100% Krishna is going to put the test someday. And when Krishna gives the test, and if we are not prepared, then we can't pass the test. Then we fail the test. And then the history of our movement has very clearly shown that it does not matter how many years one has spent. It does not matter how many years one has spent. It does not matter what post position one had. It doesn't matter what ashram. Nothing matters. One has to do the homework of self-purification. So, Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport in the Dhruva Maharaj section, Prabhupada is writing. Srila Prabhupada is writing that, see, none of us can perform austerities like Dhruva Maharaj. Possible? No. No one can perform. And so therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given very simple process. But one should not try to find concessions in this process. Prabhupada is writing. Already shortcut hai. Usme aur bhi shortcut. No. Already process has been made very simple. At least this much one should do sincerely. Otherwise, oneself will be at loss, everyone else also will be at loss. But most importantly, oneself will be at loss. The institution will go on. Institution will go on. Today somebody will go, tomorrow somebody will come, institution will go. But oneself will be at loss. So, therefore one has to take into consideration all these points and follow the simple process, nothing very complicated. Follow the process nicely. So, I've told this quite a few times. So therefore what is very important is faith in the instructions of the Acharya, what Srila Prabhupada has given. So we've on that faith we follow the process. So just like Bhagavatam class in our temples. It doesn't matter who is giving class. Doesn't matter. I have told many times. Janavas Prabhu, every day he attends. If he doesn't have some service, every day. Even now you can go and see. Even though he is about 80 years old and not in good health. Why? Yes. Prabhupada's instruction, finished. That's faith. How many times we quote the verse? Yasya deve prabhakti yatha deve tatha guru. We can quote the verse, but this is the application. This is the application. No need to be told again and again. Finished. Prabhupada's instruction, I follow it. That's faith. So then it doesn't matter who is giving class, who is not giving. It doesn't matter. I follow Prabhupada's instruction, I get the benefit of that. And whoever is giving class, I have enough to gain. So nobody is going to speak Mayavad, right? In any ISKCON temple, is the person going to speak Mayavad on the Vyasasana? So, somebody may speak simple, somebody may speak in a nice way. Whatever it is, ultimately it's the same philosophy. So what is the loss if one hears? What is the loss? But if one follows, benefit is tremendous. So that is how we have to have faith in the Acharya's instructions and simply follow. That's what we were discussing in the morning also. Process is simple, application. Very simple. What? Simply follow. लेकिन माइंड क्या बोलता है? क्यों फॉलो करो? मैं बुद्धिमान हो, पता नहीं क्या? That is a problem. So this false ego that we have prevents us from simply following. That is a big problem. क्यों फॉलो करूं, मैं सीनियर हो गया. For Maya, who's senior, who's junior? Huh? And in Kali Yuga, with such short lifespan, Maya has brought down people in Satyuga after 60,000 years of austerity. Huh? So what Kali Yuga, what austerity we are doing in short life? For Maya, it's like child's play. Child's play. क्या ये कलयुग. So, we have to understand. We are totally insignificant, we have no strength. So you all know the story of Bhakti Thakur, the frog and the elephant. You know, no? Frog and elephant. Where is the comparison? Is it ever possible for frog to fight against the elephant? That is our situation. So unless we follow the instructions of the Acharya and derive spiritual strength, we will become easy victims of Maya. We have to know these things.
Friendly devotees who join in ashram in the new days, we are attending classes Bhagavatam regularly. And as individual, you rightly spoke that it is individual responsibility to see all these things are happening to that. When you are in the institution like this, organization like this, so we also take inspiration from the seniors who are in the leaders in the post. But when these devotees, they see that, oh, we have to attend, they're attending. But when they see these seniors are not attending, and they only for giving classes, they will not attend classes. And they give excuses. In the Bhagavatam class, they have their own classes and something like that. Then by seeing that, these are like differentiating with Prabhupada, and he's not following Prabhupada. Although he's maybe doing, but few devotees who are following the Acharitri Shrestha, they're following these leaders, they will be affected. So how the society should run, how the system should run?
In one lecture, His Holiness Badrinaran Goswami, I think I mentioned this before. So he says, so when a brahmachari is asked, Prabhu, why you didn't come for Mangalarti today? So he says, Prabhu or Maharaj, see, that senior devotee doesn't come, that senior devotee doesn't come, that senior devotee does not come. So then he says, in our childhood, so sometimes, so there were two brothers. So sometimes when I would do some mischief, something wrong, then mother would ask, why did you do this? Then I would say, but my elder brother also does. And then she would say, okay, if your elder brother falls in the ditch, you will also fall? So that is no justification. So that's what we were discussing. For whose benefit am I practicing? See, I have a disease. For whose benefit do I take medicine? I have disease, right? Then if I have disease, who has to take medicine? I only have to take, no? So suppose suppose in the hospital there is another patient. So the other patient is not taking medicine regularly. Okay, you can say senior patient. Huh? So if one patient, that patient has been in hospital since 1 month. I came only since 10 days. And he is not taking medicine. Huh? So if I don't take medicine, then nuksan kisko hai? So see, therefore, the point of taking inspiration is correct. But from whom should we take inspiration? From whom should we take inspiration? That's a good answer. We take inspiration from anyone who is following. Since it does not matter senior equal junior. Anyone who's sincerely following, we take inspiration from them. Because that's what we were discussing in the morning. No? Who is on the liberated platform? One who follows the liberated platform. He is on the liberated platform. It does not matter senior equal junior, that doesn't matter. One who follows, he is going to get liberated. So it doesn't depend on any material qualification in terms of number of years or post position or ashram. None of these factors affect spiritual advancement. Spiritual advancement is totally independent of any material qualifications. So that is the meaning of ahaituki apratihata. It is not based on any material qualifications, material situations. Spiritual advancement is totally independent of all this. So therefore, we take inspiration from anyone who is sincerely following. We need to take inspiration from them. So if somebody is not following, then okay, whatever may be the reason, Hare Krishna. But I need to take inspiration from those who are following. And I need to follow because it is for my benefit. That should be our consciousness. So that means even if nobody is there for Mangalarti, I am still ready to go because it is for. And in fact, if you go to some temples outside India, you will actually find no one. And there is a good possibility that you may be the only one. It's a reality. I have personal experience. I've been in places where I was the only one. Yeah. So the point is that, I can't think that, oh, somebody has to be there, this, that. No, I'm doing it for my benefit. Finished. You got the point? Anything else on this discussion of envy? Okay, good. So, towards the end of this purport, Prabhupada is writing, very, very nice point in the solution. Prabhupada is actually giving a solution towards the end of this purport. Prabhupada is giving a consequence and he's also giving a solution very beautifully, very precise but so beautiful. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. That is the consequence. And what is the solution? In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. That's a solution. That is what one should think. If somebody is advancing, what one should think? Oh, he's so fortunate. He has received the Lord's mercy. So nice. And that is what we find in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How when Maharaj Prataprudra received the Lord's mercy, finally, how all the other devotees were so jubilant. Similarly, in the Mahaprakash Leela, as each devotee got the Lord's, all the other devotees were so. So that's the example. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. We already studied that, right? In Vaikuntha, 2 examples of non-envy. Yes. So many birds who can sing nicely, but yes, when the bumblebee comes and starts chanting the glories of the Lord, everyone comes. And flowers and thoughts. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material. The demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. So anyone in the material world, doesn't matter who, including the demigods. So these are common problems in the material world. So the solution is to come to the spiritual platform. Take care. Okay, so Indra became envious of Prithu Maharaj. So now there's a further description of the sacrifices of Prithu Maharaj. So very glorious sacrifices. Text 3. Yatra yajna pati sakshat bhagavan haririshvara anva bhuyata sarvatma sarvaloka guru prabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is present in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, and He is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. He was personally present at the sacrifices made by King Prithu. So, such glorious sacrifices that Lord Vishnu was personally present. So, Prabhupada writes, in this verse, the word Sakshat is significant. Prithu Maharaj was a Shaktivesh avatar incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Actually, Prithu Maharaj was a living entity, but he acquired specific powers from Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, however, is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva. Maharaj Prithu belonged to Jiva Tattva. Another point he says is Lord Vishnu is herein described as Harir Ishvaraha. The Lord is so kind that He takes all miserable conditions away from His devotee. Hari means one who jo har lete hain. Consequently, He is called Hari. He is described as Ishvara because He can do whatever He likes. He is the supreme controller. The supreme Ishvara Purushottama is Lord Krishna. He exhibits His power as Ishvara. And then he's quoting Sarvadharman Paritej. He is described as Sarvatma, meaning that he is present in everyone's heart as the Super Soul. And as such, he is the supreme teacher of everyone. Okay, let's read a few translations now. Please read.
Text 4. When Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the chief predominating personalities of every planet, as well as their followers, came with him. When he appeared on the scene, the residents of Gandharva Loka, the great sages, and the residents of Apsara Loka all praised him.
Next.
The Lord was accompanied by the residents of Siddha Loka and Vidyadhara Loka, all the descendants of Diti, and the demons and the Yakshas. He was also accompanied by his chief associates, headed by Sunanda and Nanda.
So Sunanda and Nanda are the ones who come to take Dhruva Maharaj to Vaikuntha.
Great devotees who were always engaged in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as the great sages named Kapila, Narada, and Dattatreya, and masters of mystic powers, headed by Sanak Kumar, all attended the great sacrifice with Lord Vishnu.
Okay.
My dear Vidura, in that great sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk-producing Kamadhenu, and thus by the performance of yajna, all daily necessities for life were supplied.
Yes, if one performs yajna, then all daily necessities will be fulfilled. Towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes, now this Sankirtan movement has already been started by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. People should take advantage of this great sacrifice and join in the society's activities. Then there will be no scarcity. If Sankirtan Yajna is performed, there will be no difficulty, not even in industrial enterprises. Therefore, this system should be introduced in all spheres of life, social, political, industrial, commercial, etc. Then everything will run very peacefully and smoothly. Next.
the flowing rivers, supplied all kinds of states, sweets, pumpkins, sour,
Pungents.
yeah, etc. And very big trees supplied fruits and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities.
Yes, so everything was supplied because Prithu Maharaj was performing yajna, sacrifices.
Predominating deities of King Prithu was presented with various gifts from the general populace and predominating deities of all planets. The oceans and seas were full of valuable jewels and pearls, and the hills were full of chemicals and fertilizers. 4 kinds of edibles were produced profusely.
So 4 kinds of edibles are what? Charvya, Leya, Chusya, Peya. Next.
King Prithu was dependent on Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Adokshaja. Because King Prithu performed so many sacrifices, he was superhumanly enhanced by the mercy of Supreme Lord. King Prithu's opulence, however, could not be tolerated by King of Heaven, Indra, who tried to impede the progress of his opulence.
Yes, so Prithu Maharaj was performing his sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord, but Indra could not tolerate. So Prabhupada writes, although one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is an incarnation, he should not forget his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Before that, Prabhupada says, Maharaj Prithu is an incarnation of Vishnu, yet is a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. So whoever it is, everyone has to remember that I'm empowered by the Lord. I'm not independent. Then Prabhupada talks about Kali Yuga, many self-made incarnations. So further down, Prabhupada writes, in this case, however, before that, King Indra is described herein as Bhagavan, which is generally used in reference to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this case, however, King Indra is addressed as Bhagavan because he has so much power in his hands. Despite his becoming Bhagavan, he is envious of the incarnation of God, Prithu Maharaj. The defects of material life are so strong that due to contamination, King Indra becomes envious of an incarnation of God. So that's material life. Wherever one is, there is always a possibility of being affected by the 3 modes and the various anarthas which come because of that influence. Anyone can be affected, including such powerful devatas as Indra. Okay, next.
When Prithu Maharaj was performing the last horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna, King Indra, invisible to everyone, stole the horse intended for sacrifice. He did this because of his great envy of King Prithu.
So in the verse it says, Spardhan. Spardhan. So there was Spardha. Spardha means competition, envious competition. Because as Prabhupada writes, he was afraid of his title, Shatakratu. So he had that title, he didn't want anyone else to get that title. So this is called as distinction. Wanting to maintain the special position one has. So puja, la, pratishtha. Pratishtha is translated as distinction. Profit, adoration, distinction. Puja is what? Yes. So a desire to be worshipped, to get honor. So who's getting how many garlands, what type of garland, who's getting the arti first. So all this is puja, desire for puja, worship. And labh means facilities. Who's getting more facilities, whose office is better, who's getting a better car, and all those things. So this is labh, facilities, profit, adoration. Okay. And pratishtha means distinction, special fame as being someone very special, distinction. But we all know, so the acharyas have given some very nice examples to describe pratishtha. Pratishtherasha Shukrera Vishtha. So, who would like to relish the stool of not just a hog, it is boar, wild boar. So, nobody would like to have that, right? But if we have desire for pratishtha, that is what we are asking for. And the other example Raghunath Goswami gives is, not exactly, Shvapacha Chandalini in his Manashiksha. Chandalini is prostitute, Vaishya, and special prostitute, what? Shvapacha. Dog-eating prostitutes. He says, what she's doing? She's dancing in my heart. This dog-eating prostitute is dancing in my heart. And I'm so happy to see the dance, right? So the acharyas are giving such examples because this is a great obstacle in one's progress. So Raghunath Goswami is saying, if this Shvapacha Chandalini is dancing in my heart, how can Krishna Prem reside in the same heart? The heart is already occupied with this Chandalini. Then where is this place, where is the space for Krishna Prem? For Sadhu Prem? There is no place. So, one has to understand these things and give up. Give up. Of course, we have all these solutions. Of course, there Raghunath Goswami especially emphasizes on serving the powerful commanders in the army of the Supreme Lord. The acharyas. So the more one faithfully serves the acharyas and attracts their mercy, then the acharyas will kick out these anarthas. That is the only way. It's not within my hands. Not possible. But more we attract the mercy of the acharyas, they will kick out. Out. Following instructions. That's what we have been discussing so long. Follow their instructions sincerely. Then we attract their grace. So, Prabhupada has emphasized this point. We have discussed this before also. 1.2.17. What is 1.2.17? Shrunatam Swagata Krishna. And at that purport, Srila Prabhupada has written, what? No, that is 18. Nashta Prayasha. Okay, open. 1.2.17. Anyway, it's always good to remind. We tend to forget. Read that second paragraph.
When he sees that a devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service of the Lord and has thus become eager to hear about him, the Lord acts from within the devotee in such a way that the devotee may easily go back to him. The Lord is more anxious to take us back into his kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. Only a very few men wanted to go back to Godhead. But anyone who desires to go back to Godhead, Shri Krishna help in all respects.
Okay.
One cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is...
So see, there also Prabhupada, if the devotee is sincere, then the Lord helps.
One cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are product of our desire to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for devotee making progress on the path of back to Godhead.
Women and wealth, very difficult problems. So, unfortunately, we have seen recent case. After many years, also someone fell victim. So, very difficult problems.
Many stalwarts in devotional life.
Many stalwarts. Not some neophytes, less intelligent, no. Stalwarts, Maharathis. This is all Shastra, it's all there.
Many stalwarts in devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole
But
process
when one is
helped
by the Lord Himself,
process become as easy as anything.
Yes, the
by the
process
divine grace of
becomes
the Lord.
as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. So that is what we have to try to attract, the divine grace. Then the process will become as easy as. And of course, attracting Lord's mercy means? Yes, attracting the Vaishnava's mercy, the Acharya's mercy, that is. And again, of course, in the last paragraph, again Prabhupada repeats that point about attracting the Lord's mercy. So, that is the point. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get rid of these various anarthas. So this was a problem with Indra also, Shatakratu. And then Prabhupada is writing about why the animals were sacrificed, Ashwamedh Yajna. If the Vedic mantras were properly pronounced during the sacrifice, the animal sacrifice would come out again with new life. That is a test for a successful yajna. So when King Prithu was performing 100 yajnas, Indra became very envious because he did not want anyone to excel him. Being an ordinary living entity, so Jiva Tattva, he became envious of King Prithu and making himself invisible, he stole the horse and thus impeded the yajna performance. Next. Put it well.
When King Indra was taking away the horse, he dressed himself to appear as a liberated person. Actually, this dress was a form of cheating, for it falsely created an impression of religion. When Indra went into the outer space in this way, the great sage Atri saw him and understood the whole situation.
So the word here used is Pakandam. One is Amuktam Iva. He appeared like a liberated person. And the other word is Pakandam. Yaha adharme dharma vibramaha. So Prabhupada is focusing on the word Pakanda. It is sometimes pronounced as Pashanda. Both of these words indicate an impostor who presents himself as a very religious person but actually is sinful. Indra took up the saffron-colored dress as a way of cheating others. The saffron dress has been misused by many impostors who present themselves as liberated persons or incarnation of God. In this way, people are cheated. Pakhandi. And then Prabhupada is talking about Amuktam Iva, as if liberated. So the saffron dress worn by sannyasi announces to the world that he has renounced all worldly affairs and is simply engaged in the service of the Lord. Such a devotee is actually a sannyasi or a liberated person. And then he's quoting this verse, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti. So it's mostly the consciousness. What is the consciousness? It's not the external dress. So one has to be detached from the fruits, the karma phalam. Next paragraph, some important instructions Prabhupada is giving. In other words, one who offers the results of his activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually a sannyasi and yogi. Cheating sannyasis and yogis have existed since the time of Prithu Maharaja's sacrifice. This cheating was very foolishly introduced by King Indra. In some ages, such cheating is very prominent, and in other ages, not so prominent. It is a duty of a sannyasi to be very cautious because, as stated by Lord Chaitanya, sannyasi ralpachidra sarva lokagai. A little spot in a sannyasi's character will be magnified by the public. Therefore, unless one is very sincere and serious. Prabhupada has used these two words so many times. Very sincere and serious, he should not take up the order of sannyas. Prabhupada has given very clearly the qualifications for sannyas. Unless one is very sincere and serious, he should not take up the order of sannyas. One should not use this order as a means to cheat the public. It is better, now another point, important point Prabhupada is writing. It is better not to take up sannyas in this age of Kali because provocations are very strong in this age. Only a very exalted person, advanced in spiritual understanding, should attempt to take up sannyas. One should not adopt this order as a means of livelihood or for some material purpose. Okay, so these are some very important points Prabhupada is mentioning here about sannyas. So what are the qualifications for sannyas? Very sincere and serious. And also he is saying, very exalted person, advanced in spiritual understanding. So only such people should take up sannyas. Yes, they should follow. They should follow the standard. That is correct. Of course, brahmacharis is not as strict as sannyas. Sannyas, the vows. So, the brahmachari should attempt to come to the standard. But sannyas is more strict. Brahmachari is still in the process of training. Okay, please continue.
When the son of King Prithu was informed by Atri of King Indra's trick, he immediately became very angry and followed Indra to kill him, calling, "Wait, wait."
Tishta, 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 tishta cha abravit. So the son of Prithu Maharaj, so he saw that this Indra is going with the horse. So he challenged him. Then what happened next?
The word tishta tishta are used by a Kshatriya.
No, we are not reading the next verse translation.
King Indra was fraudulently dressed as a sannyasi, having knotted his hairs on his head and smeared ashes all over his body. Upon seeing such a dress, the son of King Prithu considered Indra a religious man and a pious sannyasi. Therefore, he did not release his arrow.
So it worked, huh? He escaped.
When Atri Muni saw that the son of King Prithu did not kill Indra but returned, deceived by him, Atri Muni again instructed him to kill the heavenly king because he thought that Indra had become the loveliest of all demigods due to his impeding the execution of King Prithu's sacrifice.
Being thus informed, the grandson of King Vena immediately began to follow Indra, who was fleeing through the sky in the great haste. He was very angry with him and he chased him, just as king of the vulture chased Ravan.
Okay.
When Indra saw that the son of Prithu was when Indra saw that the son of Prithu was chasing him, he immediately abandoned his false dress and left the horse. Indeed, he disappeared from the very spot, and the great hero, the son of Maharaj Prithu, returned the horse to his father's sacrificial arena.
My dear Lord Vidura, when the great sages observed the wonderful prowess of the son of King Prithu, they all agreed to give him the name
Vijitashva. Vijitashva.
My dear Vidura, Indra, being the king of heaven and very powerful, immediately brought a dense darkness upon the sacrificial arena. Covering the whole scene in this way, he again took away the horse, which was chained with golden shackles near the wooden instrument where animals were sacrificed.
So he didn't agree to give up his attempts. One time failed? No. So that's how, when one is envious, one will somehow hook, crook, do something in order to achieve one's goal. Very dangerous, this envy. So again, again.
The great sage Atri again pointed out the son of King Prithu, that Indra was fleeing through the sky. The great hero, the son of Prithu, chased him again. But when he saw that Indra was carrying in his hand a staff with a skull at the top, and was again wearing the dress of sannyasi, he still chose not to kill him.
So again he took the dress of sannyasi, and again the son of King Prithu, Vijitashva, he left him. So he was trying to follow some moral codes. He's in dress of sannyasi, how can I kill? So he was maintaining some maryada. So he left him again.
When the great sage Atri again gave direction, the son of King Prithu became very angry and placed an arrow on his bow. Upon seeing this, King Indra immediately abandoned the false dress of sannyasi and, giving up the horse, made himself invisible.
Again he left the horse, again disappeared.
Then the great hero Vijitaswa, the son of King Prithu, again took the horse and returned to his father's sacrificial arena. Since that time, certain men with a poor fund of knowledge have adopted the dress of a false sannyasi. It was King Indra who introduced this.
So he introduced all these false sannyasis. So Prabhupada is talking about these various false sannyasis, Mayavadi sannyasis, and so many other types of false sannyasis. So he says some of them go naked, some of them carry skull and trident, generally known as kapalika. All of them were introduced under some meaningless circumstances, and those who have a poor fund of knowledge accept these false sannyasis and their pretenses, although they are not bona fide guides to spiritual advancement. At the present moment, some missionary institutions, without referring to the Vedic rituals, have introduced some sannyasis who engage in sinful activities, like illicit sex, intoxication, meeting, gambling. These so-called sannyasis indulge in all these activities. They sometimes drink with the excuse that without alcohol, fish and meat, it is impossible to remain in the cold countries near the Arctic zone. But who's going to the Arctic zone? But simply some excuse. So these sannyasis introduce all these sinful activities in the name of serving the poor. Then when Prabhupada spoke about Darin Narayan, Goat Narayan, the poor animals are cut to pieces and go into the bellies of these Such sannyasis are pakhandis. And in Kali Yuga, the pakhandis are very prominent. However, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has tried to kill all these pakhandis by introducing a Sankirtan movement. Those who take advantage of the Sankirtan movement of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness will be able to save themselves from the influence of these pakhandis. Next.
whatever different forms Indra assumed as a mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were symbols of atheistic philosophy.
Yes. So all this. So Indra introduced all these different sannyasis and different atheistic philosophies. Mhm. So Prabhupada writes that at the present moment, however, many so-called sannyasis or mendicants have no understanding of God consciousness. Such sannyas was introduced by Indra because of his jealousy of Maharaj Prithu, and what he introduced is again appearing in the age of Kali. Practically none of the sannyasis in this age are bona fide. No one can introduce any new system into the Vedic way of life. If one does so out of malice, he is to be known as a Pashandi or atheist. Next.
Prabhuji, here Prabhupada writes in the last lines, this Daridra Narayana, that we understand. Swami Narayana refers to, is that present Swami Narayana or how it is?
Where is it?
In the last two lines.
Oh, acha. Okay. Although it is forbidden, there are many Pashandis who coin the terms like Daridra Narayan and Swami Narayan, although not even such demigods as Brahma and Shiva can be equal to Narayan. So, it's basically, yes, this Swami Narayan. Yes.
Not
Yes.
bona fide.
So, how can ordinary Swami become Narayan? This is bogus.
In this way, King Indra, in order to steal the horse from King Prithu's sacrifice, adopted several orders of sannyasa. Some sannyasis go naked, and sometimes they wear red garments and pass under the name of Kapalika. These are simply symbolic representations of their sinful activities. These so-called sannyasis are very much appreciated by sinful man because they are all godless atheists and very expert in putting forward arguments and reasons to support their case. We must know, however, that they are only posing as adherents of religions are not so. In fact, unfortunately, bewildered person accept them as religious, and being attracted to them, they spoil their life.
So who get attracted? Bewildered persons. Okay, next. अरे उनको दे दो. All bogus.
Maharaj Prithu, who was celebrated as very powerful, immediately took up his bow and arrows and prepared to kill Indra himself because Indra had introduced such irregular sannyas orders.
Okay, so Maharaj Prithu saw his son is not ready to kill. So now Maharaj Prithu thought, I will only kill. So Prabhupada writes, it's the duty of the king not to tolerate the introduction of any irreligious systems. And since King Prithu was an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, certainly his duty was to cut down all kinds of irreligious systems. And following in his footsteps, all heads of state should themselves be bona fide representatives of God and should cut down all irreligious systems. Okay. Now they themselves don't know what is religion. They themselves are following irreligion. What they will do. So everything becomes hellish. Okay, so Prithu Maharaj was about to kill. Then what happened next?
When the priest and all the others saw Maharaj Prithu very angry and prepared to kill Indra, they requested him, O great soul, do not kill him, for only sacrificial animals can be killed in a sacrifice. Such are the directions given by the Shastra.
Right, so they're saying, animal is supposed to be killed, not Indra. It is Ashwamedh Yagya, not Indra Yagya. So therefore Prabhupada says, no one should ever be killed in a sacrifice meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. How then could Indra be killed when he is actually worshipped in the yajna and accepted as part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Therefore the priest requested King Prithu not to kill him. So what did they say next?
Dear King, Indra's powers are already reduced due to his attempt to impede the execution of your sacrifice. We shall call him by Vedic mantras, which were never before used, and certainly he will come. Thus, by the power of our mantra, we shall cast him into the fire, because he is your enemy.
Yeah, so they said, you don't have to kill. We will chant mantras by which he will be dragged into the fire. So those brahmanas were so powerful. So Prabhupada is writing. So they could perform such wonderful things. In Kali Yuga, there are no such qualified brahmanas. Okay, next.
My dear Vidura, after giving the king this advice, the priests who had been engaged in performing the sacrifice called for Indra, the king of heaven, in a mood of great anger. When they were just ready to put the oblation in the fire, Lord Brahma appeared on the scene and forbade them to start the sacrifice.
Right, so they were just about to chant mantras by which Indra would be dragged into the fire. And at that time, Brahma came and said, now, stop, stop. So we will also stop our class and we will continue tomorrow. That's what they were going to do, no? Yes, previously, of course, they said that Prithu Maharaj should not kill because he's like the host, na, of the sacrifice. They said, you should not kill. But they were ready to chant mantras to kill. And Lord Brahma came. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth-Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sambedkar. Okay. So, same people are there now also. आदित्य राम प्रभु कहाँ पर है आप? अच्छा, उनका दूसरा बस है क्या? अद्वैत करुणा प्रभु, अक्षय प्रभु कहाँ है?